Once, 5 colossal sins were set to plunge the world into chaos, but now they've found a home in my orphanage. I thought they would change their ways here, but I never anticipated they'd go behind my back to start a group called Blue Moon. In a mere 5 days, they obliterated the biggest crime syndicate in the East. All of this was triggered by a single phrase I casually jotted down, which captivated the Yandere Sin of Wrath. Because of this, she aided me in controlling the other sins and named me their master. By the time this saga kicks off, I've somehow become the tyrant of world-ending villains. What in the world is happening? 2 years back, I stumbled into this fantasy realm. Back then, I had no clue about the nature of this place. I simply aimed to survive by leveraging my status as a count's son. Until one fateful day, I overheard a maid discussing the identities of my brothers, Leo Farradei and Tonio Farradei. Upon hearing that surname, an unsettling sensation surged within me. Could this be Cicidria? Cicidria is a turn-based RPG. Regardless of the path you choose, when the 5 great sins show up, every noble and city is doomed. Among them, Count Farradei plays a supporting role, an indulgent noble before the tale kicks off. I'm well acquainted with this since they're the first despicable family to be wiped out by the heroes. I remember this region dished out a lot of experience points. I never envisioned I'd be the youngest son of the Farradei lineage. Music, Alan. Damn it. Right now I'm wishing the goddess would send me back since this luxurious life has a mere 10-year expiration. Music aren't transmigrators meant to have advantages? Why am I devoid of a cheat skill? With this thought, I abruptly stand. It's not that there are no advantages. After all, music, I know the game's plot a decade ahead, which means I hold vital intel about the future. To ensure my survival, I quietly formulate a strategy in my mind. That is to reform the 5 great sins. They're still kids for now, likely without their powers. Time speeds ahead 2 months later. My assistant is filling me in on the latest developments. He's rescued all the orphans from the experimental lab in the East and entrusted the management to Yudia. I nod, feeling pleased. Well done. Evan freezes for a beat. You're actually complimenting me, right, young master? Because your expression doesn't seem to shift at all. Then I reluctantly grin. I'm counting on you now. I don't have a choice. Moves that should be simple become impossible to execute with this face. This is the first time Evan has been graced with such trust. He rubs his head awkwardly. Anyway, thanks for the praise, young master. In Cicidria, where betrayal is a common occurrence, Evan stands out as one of the rare characters who keeps his word, so I snatched him up the moment I found him. Then Evan's tone takes a turn. This mission was to save that girl named Yudia, correct? I affirm this. Just as he suspected from his mercenary experience, that girl is definitely not your average child. She's so formidable that Evan can't comprehend why she willingly subject herself to captivity. But there's something even more perplexing. Why don't you bring her back to train her yourself, young master? Leaving her out there means you'll gain nothing. It's understandable for Evan to be perplexed, though it appears I'm leaving her there without leveraging her abilities. This was always part of my master plan. Yudia hails from the Cursed Blood clan, having bargained with a being from another realm for its powers. She transformed into the embodiment of wrath among the 5 deadly sins, a beast accountable for countless tragedies. However, as long as she can cultivate her strength in peace, she might just avoid a catastrophic fate. I'm truly brilliant. To keep Evan from jumping to wild conclusions, I need to devise an explanation. The explanation is straightforward. The timing isn't right yet. Upon hearing this, Evan's brow furrows. He senses that his young master is strategizing on a much grander scale. I then signal to Evan that he must keep this information under wraps. I also provide him with generous resources and ultimately hand him a comforting letter meant for Yudia. After enduring such brutal experiments, it's best to bring her some solace. Though I'm uncertain whether it will truly ease her mind, I must make the effort, as I've embedded a secret message within the letter. That particular phrase was repeated countless times throughout the game. It's an incantation capable of calming the Cursed Blood clan and providing tranquility. The tribulations of dark beings, the void felt by light beings, these are their only talents and treasures. This moment harks back to the tale of wrath. At that time, reciting this incantation proved futile, although it played a crucial role in instigating combat after failing the game. Yet now, 10 years before the game begins, it's not too late. I've already confronted one. It's time to rescue the next. It may seem absurd that a single phrase could tie me to a monster, but considering it's a clan that reveres ethereal beings, perhaps it really will resonate. After all, those unacquainted with their fanaticism can hardly grasp their mindset. The scene shifts to the other side, where Yudia intently reads the letter I composed for her. Evan grows increasingly perplexed by her demeanor. She resembles a child devoid of emotion. Then Yudia voices her thoughts. You mentioned the author of this letter is someone named Lord Alan, correct? Why hasn't he summoned me to his side? The aura exuding from Yudia sends Evan into a cold sweat. Manifesting magical prowess demands at least a mastery level. How can a girl not yet 10 years old manage this? Evan recalls what his young master had said. The young master remarked, "The time isn't right yet." Upon hearing this, Yudia settles her nerves. She hugs the letter to her chest, radiant with joy, for that phrase symbolizes a promise kept solely between her and her master. She now comprehends why her master hasn't brought her to him. It must be that the time isn't right yet. In this very moment, Yudia has garnered her strength and transformed into the Sin of Wrath, the Blood Queen. The scene transitions once more. Months pass, and I find myself in the library, sifting through heaps of information, yet still no sign of the third protagonist. Concurrently, Evan rushes in, having successfully saved the second child. I tentatively inquire once more. You treated him kindly, right? With utmost gentleness. Before Evan can respond, the library door bursts open. Oh dear, isn't this our illiterate little Alan? This character is the second son of Count Farradei, Antonio. His mockery begins the moment he steps in, and it's the same every time. I puzzle over how the original Alan managed to endure this. Although, I yearn to retaliate, seeing as he intends to occupy the library. I decide it's best to leave. Just as Tonio aims to step on my head, a dagger intervenes. Both of you pests, get lost. I don't want to see any blood this early in the day. This is Leo, the eldest son of the Farradeis. Tonio quickly redirects his anger at Leo. From their first meeting, they're ready to tear each other apart. Leo chuckles at the strong medicinal stench clinging to him while Tonio snaps back about washing off the scent of makeup. I seize the chance during their bickering to sneak away. Though the Farradeis seem like mere cannon fodder at the start, their influence is way beyond what you'd think. The Wild brothers fiercely vie for the family leadership. The eldest, Leo, is known as the Playboy King and dominates nearly half of the entertainment industry. Tonio earns the title of Potion King and runs a massive pharmaceutical empire. To keep my life peaceful, I need to avoid stirring things up. I just want to enjoy my life as an inconsequential, illegitimate son. Back in the room, Evan pipes up again. He believes the second child is also quite remarkable. Seeing me in this state, though, he's left speechless. How does the young master know about secret experiments happening far away and save people from the slave trade? It looks like you're barely holding your own. No matter how much Evan analyzes it, he can't grasp it. Are you sending this child? We're trying our best to find the orphanage too. I answer calmly. Evan just said the child is extraordinary. Of course, he is. After all, he's a world-ending figure in the United Kingdom, which is made up of multiple nations. Deus McCarran was acquired from the slave market of the core nation, Kellyan. He's the second in command in Sisita. After being sold into slavery, he endured abuse and wandered about. Ultimately, he embodied Sloth among the 5 great sins and annihilated kingdoms in the cruelest of ways. This storyline shocks so many players due to the game's ruthlessness. He carries the name of Sloth, yet his vengeful spirit is incredibly industrious because he repays anyone who wrongs him many times over. I constantly remind Evan to be kind to him. Sending him to the orphanage is only because the timing isn't quite right yet. Evan seems to deduce this. So, is the letter you sent to Miss Yudia connected to the second child? I confirm it. To build a bond with Yudia by discussing daily matters and to take proper care of the sick child I sent. That evening, Yudia watches from afar as this boy radiates purple light. He stares blankly into the nothingness. Then she approaches him. You appear utterly shattered. It's the mark left by that creature, isn't it? The phrase black goat escapes Yudia's lips. But this word triggers Deus, who seemed broken moments ago, suddenly reacting with a fierce glare and confusion. Yudia swiftly reads those feelings. Congratulations, the Lord has chosen you. Soon, you'll gain power. So embrace the power granted to you and unleash it. Yudia smiles at Deus. You only need to pledge unconditional loyalty to that Lord, and then you can exact your revenge. Almost instantly, countless threads of purple light pour out from Deus's body. Meanwhile, Yudia glances at the letter her master wrote her. She senses her master still cares deeply about her. After finishing the letter, a smile touches her lips. She believes she'll reunite with her master soon. The scene shifts to a few days later. Just when I'm shaking my head in annoyance over my inability to locate the third boss, shocking news reaches me. The second young master is dead. Stunned, I freeze. The Farradei family's second son has perished. How did it all happen so quickly? The Farradei family hastily organizes a funeral for Tonio. Yet, Aldi, his father, shows no signs of grief, flaunting women on each arm during the service. Truly, this is a dark fantasy realm. The family's dirty laundry is filthier than the sewers in the slums. Officially, Tonio's death is classified as an accidental fall, which contradicts what I know. In the game, he meets his end clashing with Leo over the title of family head. Right now, Leo sports a smug look, his grin nearly splitting his face. The culprit's either him or his followers. Nonetheless, I have no intention of getting entangled in this charade. My original plan is moving along without a hitch. I just have to tackle the 5 great sins. Looks like it's time to pick up the pace. A year zooms by. Once the air situation is settled, Tonio's pharmaceutical venture falls to Leo, allowing the Count's family to enjoy a semblance of peace. Throughout this period, Yudia and I become pen pals. Maintaining contact with her will definitely prove beneficial down the line. According to my current intel, they're all just innocent kids. As I finish her letter, I notice the amount of sponsorship for this month. It raises my eyebrows. The backing for such a small orphanage just keeps going up. How odd. Evan, sitting beside me, elaborates. Music. This isn't the usual scenario, but it's certainly a blessing for them. Then Evan relays the latest news. The guild has informed us we've picked up his trail. I'm quite pleased about this. We've finally located the third boss. We shift to the center of drug trafficking. Marco Leo, the oldest son of the Farradei family, houses a myriad of assassins here. Now their numbers have swelled to hundreds. Yet when two leaders emerge, they're met with a chilling sight. Their underlings are uncontrollably drawing their own daggers. Music. Each tortured face is filled with despair and pleading. Their arms, still unsteady, press the reverse-gripped blades slowly into their necks. In a grim conclusion, over 10 individuals take their own lives, accompanied by the grotesque sound of tearing flesh. As silence descends, Deus, who was cloaked in darkness moments ago, steps forward quietly. He questions the significance of executing these guys. Unlike a year prior, his eyes now shine with clarity. Yudia fixes her gaze on him. Have you turned soft? Deus rebuts her observation. I know they turn humans into poison. I merely ponder if slaughtering these scum will aid my revenge. Yudia smiles at Dia's inquiry. Of course, this is all paving the way for that lord's return. When that lord arrives, he surely won't linger in such a shabby setting. Deus studies the pattern beneath him, nodding in understanding and falling silent, uttering nothing further. Everything unfolds just as that lord desires. The blue moon is that lord's blade. After the duo departs, a moon totem remains on the ground. 2 years, music, have flown by since Alan and Yudia became pen pals. Evan is now scouring everywhere for Alan, finally spotting him in the backyard. Evan is completely drained. He's already sent the 5th child off to the orphanage. In the meantime, he's rescued the remaining 3 sins, although tracking down the 3rd one, the sin of greed, was quite the challenge. Thanks to my game savvy and putting Evan through the ringer, we finally nailed it. Glancing at Evan, who's been hustling all year long, I gesture for him to take a breather. Evan hesitantly checks in. Is it really over? The moment I confirm it, he drops onto the ground. Evan exhales deeply. But you don't seem thrilled, young master. I signal him to look closely. Can't you see I'm already grinning? Evan looks completely taken aback. I'll just take your word for it that you're smiling. I stretch and clear my mind. Honestly, I didn't think it would go this smoothly. Creating the 5 great sins requires a ton of catalysts. Even if I push hard to save them, it'd be a struggle to succeed before they hit rock bottom. In other words, my only fear was rescuing the sin, incarnations with shattered bodies and minds. But now, that worry feels pointless. My main concern was just that, saving the sin incarnations with fractured spirits. But now, I realize that worry's unnecessary. All 5 kids are thriving, full of life. Then I ask again about the orphanage. You didn't spot anything off when you checked the orphanage last time, did you? Evan pulls out Yudia's letter to me. Someone like Snow. Wolf, when he first returned, was as still as a doll gone wrong, but he's adapting really well at the orphanage. And Lena, too, when we rescued her, had her eyes squeezed shut, vowing never to gaze upon this world again. During my last visit, she was actually buried in a book, looking much happier and engaged. I really didn't expect Yudia to pull this off. Is it because of some special setup that makes her fond of the orphanage? Looking at it this way, it seems Yudia has a kind heart. Evan looks puzzled about why I'm asking this. Did she write something noteworthy to you? Evan checks but finds nothing out of the ordinary. Meanwhile, the kids at the orphanage are growing up strong, and I can't help but feel a bit proud. I never thought they'd progress so smoothly. The environment truly plays a crucial role. Then Evan brings up the question that's been nagging him for years. So when do you intend to meet them? You always say when the moment is right. This leaves me scrambling for an explanation since I really don't want to meet them at all. Sure, there are perks to having a solid relationship with them, but their transformation into sins is way too traumatic and sorrowful. From the flashbacks in the game, it's clear their personalities were crushed from a young age. Maybe after I step in, they'll be better off, but I still feel a shade of fear around them, so I give another vague response. Maybe in 5 years. Anyway, in this dark landscape, I just need to bolster my defense skills. Luckily, Alan's got a touch of magical talent. While I'm mulling over this, Evan references Blue Moon. It's a group that's recently gained notoriety in the eastern region. They claim to specialize in hunting rival gangs. This is the first I'm hearing about them too, but they sound like they're up to some good. I don't remember this plot point. This group should fade away soon. Evan makes a throat-cutting gesture. The issue is they even murder nobles. I thought you were clued in, young master. Hearing this, my legs nearly buckle. Evan, starting tonight, you're crashing in the room next to mine. The scene shifts to the orphanage. Yudia is receiving Blue Moon's latest report for the week. Snow Wolf, the embodiment of pride, speaks with a cheery tone drenched in bloody disdain. I took off all the heads of those human traffickers. I warned them I'd let them go if they could guess my eye color, yet not a single one of them got it right. And Lena, the greed-fueled sin, incinerated all their remains. The South is finished, too. Deus has wiped out the illegal lab for living experiments. Radan, the embodiment of punishment, is dishing out retribution to the scum wreaking havoc in Avalon, turning them into nothing but pulp. After reviewing the report, Yudia is extremely pleased. Our purpose revolves around the Great Moon. The Blue Moon is a secret organization founded by Yudia that reveres the Great Moon. At this moment, Dea's voice pierces the air. It looks like we've run into a snag. Isn't the ruler of Avalon the Count's eldest son who resides in that lord's estate? While tackling issues, Deus stumbled upon a perilous command. That eldest son appears to have set his sights on that lord. What did you just say? Yudia's face reflects utter disbelief. The atmosphere grows tense. Snowwolf, who was just grinning widely, now perks up and surveys the surroundings. Lina, who has been secretly watching, suddenly locks her gaze straight ahead. When Yudia reaches the end of the letter, it indeed states, "Eliminate Alan." She grips the letter tightly. Yudia refuses to let this happen. The scene shifts 2 years forward. Count Farradei has passed away. The official word is cardiac arrest. Those in the know can easily deduce that Count Faraday's true demise was due to a drug overdose. Eldest son Leo's detached demeanor suggests he anticipated this death long ago. What concerns him more is Blue Moon. Thus, the Count's passing quietly concludes, leaving not a single tear shed. Back in the room, Evan queries about our next steps, since that guy is poised to become the family head next year. In this moment, I've already got my bags packed because I plan to briefly retreat to Rodemi for a while. Rodemi is a small hamlet south of the Farradei domain. Just as Alan makes his departure, Leo stands above, watching him. What should I do? Should I take out Alan? Though this foolish brother lacks any real skill, just as I'm savoring 3 days of peace, I'm reluctantly summoned back to the Farradei mansion since Leo, the eldest son of the Farradeis, is dead. This throws me into deeper confusion. Why did he die so soon? It's nothing like the anticipated outcome. He perished with a blade through his heart. Who could have killed Leo? Meanwhile, I notice all the servants staring at me in a peculiar manner. They all seem filled with dread, yet I clearly haven't lifted a finger. Soon, Evan returns from his probing. What did you uncover? Leaning close to my ear, Evan looks incredulous. Young master, you're actually the mastermind who took down Avalon overnight. What the heck? What's this all about? Time rewinds to 3 days prior, the day I left the mansion. Evan is baffled. Since I'm stepping away from the family, why not hide out in a major city? That wouldn't work, because Rodemi is the finale of my scheme. I've already liberated the 5 great sins from their misery. The original destructive agenda has been altered. Rodemi bears no ties to the original narrative, and the Farradei family has a residence there. It's the ideal spot for me to take it easy. Facing Evan's bewilderment, I explain I have my own motives, but Evan is well aware his young master is just stringing him along. He can't quite grasp what his young master is truly plotting, and every action of mine is under Leo's vigilant surveillance. He initially planned to take Alan out right after their father's passing, but to his surprise, Alan opted to head to the border himself. He thought eliminating him wouldn't be necessary, but due to Avalon's recent chaos, he finds Alan utterly irritating. He gestures to Armin to tail that carriage. Upon hearing music, Armin questions, "Are you suggesting I eliminate him?" The abrupt inquiry slices through the stillness. Leo's brows furrow slightly at this. Armin, who has always followed orders without question, queries, "Why are you asking this out of nowhere?" Just as Leo is about to reprimand him, suddenly, a blade thrusts through his chest. Leo never foresaw that his most capable ally during this time would turn on him, and he isn't really Armin. His true identity is Sedan, linked to the Blue Moon organization. Their sole creed, to act as the Lord's blade against anyone harming him. Blue Moon operatives can take matters into their own hands, and he waited a full 2 years for this moment. Sadly, Blue Moon had already granted you a chance. Leo still daydreams that his organization will seek retribution, oblivious to the fact that they've already been dismantled this time. Meanwhile, music, I'm living the dream in Radan. I feast and rest, then rest and feast some more. This is the luxurious life I've yearned for. Yet, after merely 3 days, my tranquil existence crumbles, because Leo, the Farradei heir, is dead. I must return to the Farradei estate to take control. Therefore, everyone spirals into wild theories, and I become the ruthless fiend in their eyes. Can someone explain how it reached this point? Evan mulls it over and agrees. After all, you're the sole benefactor in this whole mess, young master. Leo was taken out shortly after we departed. You stepped into the heir's role with a flawless alibi. Avalon also vanished, so no one will question you about Leo's demise. You've evolved into a sword saint-level assassin, orchestrating the downfall of the Count's family. Truthfully, the current scenario leaves me defenseless. Even though I did nothing, fingers are pointed my way. Then, I recall the Blue Moon organization Evan mentioned earlier. Could they be behind this? However, Evan swiftly dismisses my theory. The guild's recent findings indicate it wasn't them. Blue Moon doesn't leave behind bodies, yet they always leave a signature. Avalon's people were all slain by a blade. Hence, the killer is probably a master swordsman. But upon reflection, it adds up. Blue Moon is a grassroots outfit that appeared out of nowhere and never even featured in the game. So, who could it have been? On the other side, Yudia cautiously inquires whether anyone made any traces. Lena responds first. No traces were left at all. Even the footprints were erased. Snowwolf plays with the dagger in his hand. Only a heap of body parts remains. The remaining 486 Avalon members were dealt with by Deus. The rest were halved by Radan. Yudia's eyes glimmer crimson. Outstanding. Music Avalon, which once ruled the kingdom, was reduced to dust in merely 5 days. Then Radan speaks up again. However, I don't believe the cleanup was flawless. Yudia immediately grows anxious. Radan then unveils intel regarding nobles tied to Avalon. Among them is a family called Aldia with close connections. Yudia finishes, scanning the information and whispers softly, "You already know what I'm hinting at, right?" Everyone braces themselves. Radan nods in understanding. "Got it. I'll handle them quietly." Only then does Yudia let out a breath of relief. At last, there's just the guild's matter to sort out after their probe. They assert this issue has nothing to do with Blue Moon. Every guild member concurs that a sword saint conjured this nightmarish scenario. Still, Yudia senses they can't relax and need to keep a close eye on the guild's updates. This news absolutely cannot reach that lord. No way. Diaz is confused, even though he's a blood relation to that lord. His first thought was to eliminate that lord. Was this even a directive from them? Yudia's crimson gaze suddenly ignites. Haven't I said it already? We are merely the lord's blades. We can't have our own opinions, can we? Without orders, it's simply unacceptable. Do you get that? We act solely on command. If that lord hasn't instructed, we must never act impulsively, never let him down. Diaz runs his dry tongue across his lips and locks his gaze onto Yudia. He just can't wrap his head around how someone as skilled as Yudia could be this anxious merely because of the fear of that person discovering anything. Although Diaz has reservations, he refrains from asking further. All of this is for the Great Moon. For that lord, the focus shifts to the other side. Since Leo's funeral concluded, I've been wrapped up in family matters. This month is a whirlwind, yet I wish to just lounge around like a noble. Even though Leo had ruffled some feathers, he should have kicked the bucket 5 years later, as the brothers' demise altered the game's course. All household responsibilities have landed on me as the heir, and everyone seems to have stepped up their game. I recall when the Count was around, they barely lifted a finger. Little did I know that in their eyes, if they don't work doubly hard, they risk being ousted by young Master Alan. I sense that everyone seems to be on edge. I hope they can manage things without my intervention. The scene shifts to evening. Gazing at what lies before him, Evan is still a bit astonished because in merely 2 years, the young master's magic has advanced to level 2. Typically, it takes 4 years to reach this level, needing a certain magical flair. Although I'm just casually honing this magic for protection, perfecting it requires exact control of magical energy. Even though I've managed it, I'm still pretty much an amateur. Delving into magic in this fantastical world was thrilling at first, but as I probed deeper, I realized my magic core is painfully tiny. The innate core resembles an athlete's natural talent level. However, in comparison, my magic core is extraordinarily minuscule. At this moment, Evan cuts in because we've received an invite to a ball today. If my 2 brothers hadn't passed away, you couldn't drag me to such an event. But now that I've become the Count of Farradei, I need to navigate some social ties. This ball is occurring in the southern region of the Astria Kingdom for nobles to mingle, and I need to seize this chance to network with other nobles, since building relationships with them is vital for leading a peaceful life. Yet, it seems everyone is scared to approach me. They're steering clear of me like I'm contagious. Honestly, I somewhat anticipated this situation. After all, Alan is a wild noble born from modest roots, utterly devoid of grace. Although, 3 generations ago, his family once shone as a prestigious aristocratic house within the kingdom. Now, they're infamous for birthing the most scandalous playboys in the East. More accurately, they're fiends that will scorch you if you cross their path. But I arrived armed with knowledge. I dedicated half a day honing my wine-tasting skills. This vintage is genuinely one of a kind, especially that scent. I'd love to take a few bottles home. Pairing it with a charming smile, everyone will surely find me quite agreeable. The Count's daughter beside me is drenched in cold sweat, quickly spinning on her heels and bolting. I'll inform my father to gear up for you. Music. This leaves me astonished. How is this even remotely similar to what I envisioned? The nobles murmur that I'm even worse than those 2 brothers, hurling cruel remarks to force wine down my throat. Evan, behind me, can only stifle his laughter and pat my back. After scouring the ball, I've snagged quite the haul. I've wasted time studying wine. The Farradei name has a far worse reputation than I initially thought, and with rumors circulating about me offing my own brothers, it appears I'm now someone everyone wants to steer clear of. My social life seems utterly shattered. However, just as I step outside for some fresh air, a woman catches my eye. Outside, I mull over what went wrong. Suddenly, a soft voice interrupts. Excuse me, can I speak to you? Finally, someone's reaching out to me. But as I turn, I find no one there. Looking down, I spot a delicate young girl gazing at me with nervousness. Excuse me, I'm Loria, the 3rd daughter of Duke Aldia. Did she just mention the Aldia family? The Aldia family is one of the 3 dominant secret powers in Sikia, notorious as the scoundrels of the north, right? How could someone who approaches me so openly be ordinary? But why can't I recall such a significant character from the game? I doubt she even exists in it. Loria cuts to the chase. Music. Please grant me your assistance. I might not survive the night. I remember that the Aldia family only had 4 members in the game, implying she perished before the story began. Loria reveals her history. Born to the Duke's most cherished concubine, she has only thrived under her father's guard. But now, Dogalia is gravely unwell. If her father dies, her siblings will turn on her. I'm puzzled. Music. Why would she turn to a complete stranger like me for aid? With your strength, this should be a piece of cake. That normally serene face betrays anxiety for the first time. I must politely refuse. Music. Loria insists she won't ask for anything without a reward. If it works out, she'll offer me half of her family's fortune. It's not that I'm unwilling to help. It's just that I'm barely managing my own existence right now, so it's best I don't create any false hopes for her. Even if I wanted to assist, I'm far from one of those legendary titans. When I glance back, I spot the despair swirling in silent Loria's eyes. I click my tongue, turning back to her, still standing there. I wish you luck to soothe the weight in my chest. I muster a polite blessing. Music. Honestly, I hope she discovers a trustworthy ally. Meanwhile, every move I make is under the watchful gaze of Blue Moon. Diaz decides to report Alan's latest remarks to Yudia, but Lina signals that there's no need for concern because that girl is the only Aldia member not on Radan's hit list. Deus Music gets everything instantly. If that's true, then this just got a whole lot easier. They only need to keep an eye on that lord and make sure he doesn't hear a peep about the Avalon incident. Just as I'm back in the reception hall, a familiar chill of a greeting catches me off guard again. My heart starts racing with anticipation. Am I about to forge a bond with a noble? Music. But when I turn to see who it is, I'm stunned. Why her? Naturally, anyone who approaches me is no ordinary noble. I then give Lady Janamia a standard polite nod. Kalia looks surprised. You know me, I say. You're notorious in many circles. After all, she's one of the three dark powers of the Astria kingdom. Aldia reigns in the north, Farradei in the east, and Kalia, the first daughter of Count Genonia, holds sway in the west. If Farradei is like a street gang, then Genonia is a corporate cartel. I need alliances that secure a tranquil existence. For my splendid, blissful life, I must avoid getting too involved with her. Who could blame me? Lady Kalia is an absolute stunner. She eyes me with intrigue. I want to chat with you more. What are your thoughts? I mention the audience around us, though deep down that's not my real concern. I'm just eager for her to let me escape quickly. Kalia raises an eyebrow, then laughs in understanding, just as the gossip foretold. While I'm utterly puzzled, I'm excited about our next encounter. Before I can react, she walks away, leaving me standing there in a daze. Meanwhile, Deus and the others notice something amiss. A figure draped in black is watching that lord, but Music, they haven't been told to intervene yet. Fast forward over 10 days later, Evan and I arrive at a secluded canyon. Music, we finally found this spot, although in the game, it was a piece of cake to locate. In reality, it took us half a month of searching. The true reason I came to the ball was to find this labyrinth. Known as the Whispering Labyrinth, clearing it in the game grants you a decent artifact. Thankfully, I remember the strategy to beat it. Stepping into the valley, we're greeted by a door adorned with arcane runes. Evan can feel the mystery of this place, but he's even more curious about how I know it. That's because I frequent this spot. Hearing this, Evan freezes in surprise. I almost let it slip while daydreaming, so I quickly backtrack. Just kidding. Naturally, I have my methods. Evan is left speechless. The young master always delivers jokes with such a serious expression. Entering, we find giant stone hands hovering above the puzzle. If we answer incorrectly, those colossal hands will come crashing down and turn people into mush. Yet, how can the young master remain so composed in these circumstances? Despite serving him for 4 years, he still can't grasp how he seems to have every distant detail down pat. Evan's willing to stick by this mysterious young master because everything he does is for a greater good. As I tackle the puzzle, the treasure vault of the labyrinth finally opens up. What lies before us is a treasure trove of gold and silver. But my eyes zero in on an unassuming black ring, knowing that taking anything else would spell trouble. The ring of constraint is precisely what I need. The moment we exit the labyrinth, shock washes over Evan's face. Did you see this coming too? Right outside the maze, a horde of golems stands in their way. Evan realizes there's no way to take these things down, but he desperately needs to help the young master get away. Noticing the situation, Music, I wave my hand and say, let me take care of this. I stride directly towards the golems. Evan's heart races because the young master's tier 2 magic is no match for these monsters. Before he can voice his concerns, I casually begin to recite the ancient incantation passed down from Nyakura's formidable spirit. Grant me the might of binding, Music. As I finish speaking, the whole world is suddenly engulfed in stillness. A celestial voice echoes. Specify 2 constraints you can implement. I'm momentarily dazzled by this magnificent spectacle. In the game, this would simply present a dialogue box. The labyrinth's prize, the Ring of Constraint, enforces limitations on its bearer while providing corresponding rewards. I let out a steady breath and articulate the restrictions I've meticulously prepared. First restriction. When casting spells, I must always use Babylonian hand signals. Music. What do you seek to achieve with this? The ability to slightly alter the laws that govern this world. The constraint acknowledges my demand. Second restriction. When casting spells, I must recite Babylonian incantations. What do you wish to attain with this? The same as before. The enigmatic voice falls into a short silence following my response. This causes a shiver to run down my spine. Did I make a mistake? Feeling uncertain, I mimic the gestures from the skill manual. Here, It's essential to use hand signs and incantations as limits to amplify magical damage. I've experienced this countless times. There shouldn't be any flaws. After a brief pause, the ethereal voice re-emerges. I accept your request. Human who still remembers the mighty hand signs and forgotten secrets. Thank you for carrying this legacy. As I hear this, I'm left perplexed. What does it mean to inherit this will? Meanwhile, music, the ring of constraint gradually fades away. It appears the constraints have taken effect. Inheritor of the will, I shall forever guard you. With these words, I abruptly snap back to reality. Evan is tugging at me, trying to pull me away from the sea of golems. I know that even if I channeled all my magical prowess, I'd still struggle to unleash the true force of lightning since my Clear's throat, magic core, clearly establishes my limits. After acquiring the ring of constraint, I'm itching to test what kind of power limits and costs can muster. The moment the intricate incantation flows from music, my lips, the faint glow bursts into vibrant arcs. Azure light, accompanied by crackling roars, transforms the small orb into a magnificent spectacle, blooming into hundreds, then thousands music of beams, ultimately shaping into a colossal sphere. At that exact moment, I form the necessary hand signs, my thumb pressing against the middle finger knuckle, initiating the flicking motion. Music, diffract. As the final incantation resonates, the illuminated golems within the canyon seem caught in a frozen time loop. Lightning surges through their forms. Dozens of golems instantaneously disintegrate without any resistance. Evan, who was frantically charging toward the golems to save Alan, now stands frozen, mouth wide open in disbelief. Is this even human? Evan, overwhelmed with curiosity, asks, have you been concealing your power music this whole time? I respond, I haven't concealed anything. Was this really just tier 2 magic? I respond, I haven't concealed anything. Was this really just tier 2 magic? Is this what you've been hiding all along? I shoot back, I haven't concealed a thing. Is this really just second tier magic? Is this what you've been hiding all along? I shoot back, I haven't concealed a thing. Is this really just second tier magic? I can confirm that it is. Evan's face is a mask of disbelief. Yet, while I seem composed on the outside, turmoil brews within. Honestly, I never anticipated the magic would unleash such monumental power. In turn-based battles, Sisida, you can amplify magic through hand signals and spells within a turn. Take the chain lightning I just unleashed, where I invoked 4 incantation sets: refraction, deflection, azure light, and diffraction pattern, culminating in 5 rounds of enhancement. In other words, I simply took advantage of a miraculous game mechanic to cast massive lightning magic. Yet, due to my limitations, I'd still use gestures and incantations for all magical casting. This magic gains a roughly 2-fold boost. I shrug, considering that this second-tier magic holds average power. The outcome far exceeded any expectations. Even I was startled. Evan, escaping the labyrinth, has no strength left. This is even more draining than actual combat. He ponders the mind behind this frustrating place. I recall that this labyrinth is also known by another name. While sifting through map settings and community guides, it somehow earned the title of Penny's Labyrinth, crafted by someone named Parian. Penny doesn't know who that is. Regardless, let's return for now. Employing hand signs that align with the magic's properties boosts power. He doesn't even know who that is. Anyway, let's head back. Signaling with hand gestures that align with the magic boosts power, and selecting fitting incantations enhances traits. Even though it's a game mechanic, the icons here remain the same as in the game, only the values differ. Just now, each incantation I uttered visibly shifted the situation. Could it be that my exceptional magic control allows me to witness these structural transformations? Once my magic power is restored, I absolutely must carry out multiple experiments. In the meantime, Lina has been observing me intently, her curiosity growing steadily. After Alan and the others depart, Lina arrives at this place, deciphering the enigmatic text engraved on the wall. The script of the Arloinep Empire from the forgotten age of outer gods, etched by the coward Pern for a friend destined to dwell in solitude. As she reads those lines, Lina can't help but chuckle derisively. In a time when outer gods devastated the realm, he thwarted relentless black tide invasions multiple times and even defeated Ara, who could compel followers to willingly part with their hearts with just one gaze. The great and glorious Emperor Pern. Lina, born as the heir of the ancient library, tasked with the crucial role of a boundary keeper, swiftly recognizes the inscription on the doorframe. It was created by that guy known as Pain. Alan's voice suddenly resonates in Lena's mind. She knows he's aligned with Queen Yudia, destined for the history books, certainly no ordinary figure. Yet the fact that such a great lord garners respect from even Pen, and the seemingly common magic he just used masked extraordinary incantations, conflicting thoughts clash violently in her mind. As she contemplates, Lena's entire being quakes with awe, suddenly turning her gaze toward Alan, her expression evolving into a passionate light of reverence. Lina perceives a lurking presence and glances sideways. Dees is already there, his purple-gold eyes faintly gleaming as he nods in acknowledgement. That figure in black is deceased, his head twisted abruptly in midair, yet I felt no magical fluctuations whatsoever. Upon hearing Diaz's report, Lena falls into a momentary silence. We've got to tell Lady Yudia about this. After a quick exchange, music. The two shadows swiftly vanish into the darkness. The focus shifts to the Genonia estate where Kalia replays her encounter with Alan from earlier that day. Looks like those rumors hold some truth. Her expression is frigid, sending chills down the spine. Her eyes, like bottomless pits, are impossible to gaze into. Despite the Genonia family's fame, Alan recognizes her, even though she rarely steps into the spotlight. Father, doesn't that strike you as odd? As Kalia snaps her fingers, Count Genonia collapses right then and there. It turns out she's already turned her father into a puppet under her control, thus seizing command over the entire Genonia family. So how did that guy catch on? He even unearthed the guards I had lurking in the shadows. Just then, a man rushes in. Lady Kalia, there's a situation in your quarters. Upon reaching her room, Kalia finds her shadow guard dead. His seal never activated, which means he perished without spilling a single secret. Kalia realizes the placement was intentional. How fascinating. He grabbed a significant advantage over me right from our first encounter, yet I'm entirely oblivious to her thoughts. After Loria leaves the ball, she clenches her fist, letting out a bitter laugh. So, I'm the fool in this scenario. The Alan she observed is far above what mere mortals can achieve. Duke Alia is revered as a noble lord by all factions, a figure neither side would dare to provoke lightly. But his icy gaze reminded her of her father. In that fleeting moment of their meeting, Loria clung to this last hope of salvation. Yet in the end, it was for naught. The stakes she could wager were just borrowed from Duke Aldia's generosity. Music, a false strength that could vanish at any moment, because looming over her were 4 other siblings. In comparison, she was just a pitiful being the Aldia family could easily discard. Without her father's love, Loria knows she would surely be dealt with by her siblings. But just as she braced for this grim fate, a maid's shriek interrupts her despair. Young masters, Felon, and Gig are dead. Loria is left bewildered by the news. Of the 4 siblings who had tormented her, 2 suddenly lie dead, and before Loria can process anything, another trembling shout from a maid rings out from upstairs. Young Master Tamil and Lady Mariana are dead. Upon hearing this, Loria races upstairs. Witnessing this unbelievable sight, Loria Music stands in shock. What on earth is going on? At that moment, above the Aldia estate, Music, a shadowy figure, moves with purpose. It's Rotten, finishing his assignment. Loria knows these individuals won't remove their masks so easily. After all, there were numerous heirs. But now, all her siblings lay dead. It defies logic. In this instant, Loria remembers what that man said before he departed. Still, I wish you good fortune. So, he's the puppeteer behind all this. As her thoughts spiral, goosebumps break out over her trembling form. Just like that, Loria becomes Aldia's sole legitimate heir overnight, and Loria remains clueless about the kind of demon she struck a deal with. But there's no turning back now. The repercussions of betraying him are laid bare. Her siblings' fates speak volumes. So now, she's left with only one road to tread. The scene shifts to 2 months later. I receive a letter from Count Alia. This baffles me because I've had no interactions with them at all. As I lift the lid, I discover a bottle of wine and a card inside. This wine hails from the prestigious realm of Cernants. Only 3 bottles are crafted each year, each valued at thousands of gold coins. I double-check with their butler. It truly is from Loria. The butler confirms that this bottle of wine was a personal gift from her. Upon hearing the butler's statement, I can't help but look puzzled. So, within 2 months, Loria, the 3rd daughter of Duke Aldia's house, ascended to the title of Duke Aldia. After Count Aldia's demise, Loria smoothly took over the Count's role. It's hard to believe she once couldn't even step foot in this office. All her siblings perished unexpectedly. She remained untouched solely due to her airtight alibi. Everyone was eliminated while she attended the ball, and her allies had been neutralized by her siblings when she returned to the estate. This means she had no authority to fight back. Right now, Loria reflects on past events, breaking into a cold sweat. So, he even exploited such situations. Although Alan harshly dismissed her, underneath, he managed everything with precision. What's even more suspicious is that despite all the Duke's heirs dying over a month ago, he never reached out. After much pondering, she arrives at a singular logical conclusion. Alan is orchestrating a grand scheme. While the Aldia family possesses some influence, it's minuscule compared to his. Essentially, he has bigger plans in mind. Farradei rose as a titan in this shadowy world purely through commerce. And what Farradei lacks, the Aldia family possesses. Loria can only assume he seeks political power. Therefore, he aims to harness the political clout and prestige of Aldia. Loria understands that once a pact is established, it cannot be undone. So, she must handle everything with precision now. Yet, she also needs to show her gratitude. Unbeknownst to her, Loria's previously expressionless lips curl into a smile for the first time. I hope he appreciates my gift. After presenting the gift, the Alia butler departs. What I never expected was for Loria, who faced death threats, to actually rise as a count. I sense something is amiss. The scene shifts to several months later. Now, only 5 years stand between us and the start of the original tale. Young master, no. Should I refer to you as Count now? Even though the inheritance ceremony hasn't occurred yet, I can legitimately adopt the title of Count Farradei. But this wasn't part of my original scheme at all. My initial ambition was never to become a count, but to relish a good life under some noble title. Even though this diverges from my original purpose, it might not be entirely unwelcome. Then Evan hands me a letter. It's from Yudia. Meanwhile, I inquire if there's any news regarding Leo's assassin. Evan shakes his head, indicating the guild has yet to find anything. However, Evan looks perplexed. Your intention isn't revenge, is it? I clarify that this is merely a precaution. After all, the butterfly effect I've caused has altered the game's storyline. I then open Yudia's letter, curious about its contents this time. Amidst the lines, tidbits from the orphanage's daily life surface. Recently, Deus has been toying with marionette shows. That girl, Snowwolf, is constantly engrossed in games with her friends. Lina quietly immerses herself in books and crafts. Radan is currently fascinated with arranging garden landscapes. As I read through these daily matters, I can't help but smile like an old dad. Though the 5 great sins aren't my real kids, I've seen these kids grow up at the orphanage over 5 years and now truly feel a fatherly connection. Turning to Evan, I ask, how old is Yudia now? Evan looks baffled by my sudden question. She should be 19. Most of the kids you brought back are around that age. Hearing this, their sweet and obedient images instantly shatter in my mind. They are the ones who could end the world. It's chilling just to think about, let alone having them thank me. I let out a dry chuckle. They should probably venture out into the world now. Evan nods, seemingly getting it. But didn't you take them in for a reason? I tell Evan it's not needed anymore. They've grown. It's time to look towards their futures. The reason I gathered this group was to stop them from awakening as the 5 great sins that room in the kingdom since music. They've been trained to this point. No need to keep them locked away in the orphanage. I think about each of their unique abilities. Yudia commands music faith. Deus is a swordsmanship ace. Lina thrives in research. Snowwolf breeds warrior potential. Music Radan holds apostle talent. If I can position them right, they'll be an incredible force. This plan seems solid. Since I'm sending letters, I might as well get a gift ready for each of the 5 great sins set to step into the world. These gifts will be handed out before long. Anyway, as time slips by, evening soon arrives. I spend forever crafting 5 letters, seal them up, and give them to Evan. As Evan turns to go, I think that when they hit it big in the future, I should be able to claim my share of the victory. A few days later, we find ourselves in the underground of the Eastern Orphanage. This time, the Great Moon has given us all specific instructions. 5 young adults read Alan's letters one by one, all buzzing with curiosity about the tasks the Lord has laid out for them, aside from Yudia. The others look confused and bewildered. Is this really a mission? Why does it feel like casual banter? Yudia confirms, I told you, the Lord wraps orders in casual conversation. It's always been this way. Yudia then pulls out the first letter. It lists targets for elimination, assigns missions, and requests reports afterward. That's when he handed Blue Moon to me, and we were all personally chosen by him. Deus then chimes in. It's all to prevent leaks, but he's not entirely on board either. Music. Shouldn't we meet up face to face or use magical communicators? Radan agrees with Deus. If the issue here is leaks, why music? Go with letters. Facing their doubts, Yudia reminds everyone once more. Let's not forget, all we need to do is follow the orders. Seeing Yudia's chilling assurance, Deus is puzzled, yet doesn't dare to probe further. Snowwolf cracks a joke, easing the tense vibe. Let's check the other missions. Moments later, each person whispers their letters softly. The brilliant moon leads me to the nocturnal realm of Caliburn. Snowwolf is the sandy outpost, even though she despises deserts more than anything. Radan has been sent to the lively hub, Rexus. Lina is headed to the maze city, Raltania. Meanwhile, Yudia's journey takes her to the sacred realm of Rosario. The missions outlined in the letters are what we need to tackle next. Deus might be clueless, but that lord expects him to become a knight. The letter not only details the profession but assures ongoing financial support and specifies a unique gift for each individual at a certain spot. They'll figure it out once they get there. As Yudia's voice fades, I hope everyone keeps Blue Moon's name out of conversations unless that lord brings it up first. And the 5 great sins, destined to wreak havoc on the world, now shrouded in the faith of Blue Moon, set off to fulfill the tasks detailed in Alan's letters. Just 3 months later, I'm deep into researching the distinctions between magic and incantations. Though I've gleaned the theory from books, personal experimentation is still needed. Music. Meanwhile, I ask again about Leo. Evan says it's the same situation as before. The guild remains at a standstill. Music. I'm aware a butterfly effect has spiraled out of control. After all, I altered the path of the 5 great sins. Even Loria Aldia, who should have met her end, is now alive and well. She's currently climbing the political ladder at breathtaking pace, gaining power and influence. It feels like things are slipping out of reach. I then signal Evan to cease inquiries about Leo since there's clearly a hidden force pulling strings from the shadows. Music. In this climate, almost nothing escapes the Information Guild's watchful eyes. Even if I dig into matters that should stay buried, the end result might only be my undoing. Just the thought sends chills down my spine. If this leads to my demise, then avoiding it is pointless. As long as I stay out of their way, they shouldn't target me. Unless I make the first move, they have no motive to go after me. There's no music value in probing deeper. Upon hearing this, Evan mentions he'll instruct the guild to halt its investigation this afternoon. Then he recalls something else. Deus was recently knighted by Caliburn. I'm stunned. I didn't think he'd rise to knighthood so fast. The scene shifts. Another 3 months go by, and word of Deus reaches me again. He's already established a knight order. I'm baffled. That kid was knighted less than 2 months ago. Music, right? Forming a knight order typically requires at least expert-level prowess, doesn't it? Evan shares my disbelief. For news to spread this quickly, Caliburn must be in a complete music frenzy. The streets are abuzz with chatter that if things keep going this way, we could see a 5th Holy Knight emerge in under 10 years. The scene shifts. Another half year ticks by. A whole year since they left the orphanage. Just as I'm starting to settle into the Count's responsibilities, Evan brings me shocking news again. Deus has become one of Caliburn's 5 Holy Knights. Hearing this, I freeze for a second. Isn't a Sword Master required for that title? When I say Sword Master, I mean Sword Saint. Images of Sword Saints whirl through my mind like a flickering lantern. In Sisida, a Sword Saint must solidify an aura blade as a foundation and awaken a unique skill known as derivative. So, Deus really did become that kind of Sword Saint. However, Evan's intel suggests Deus isn't quite a Sword Master yet, only one step shy. It seems he hasn't yet solidified a derivative skill, but somehow, he's already earned the Holy Knight title. Rumor has it, even the 4th blade, Fiora, couldn't defeat him in a duel. Maybe he was just too good for his own good. Caliburn's clash with the Northern Savages has been raging for over a decade. Last year, one of the 5 Holy Knights was lost in combat. Elevating Deus to a Holy Knight both boosts morale and signals strength to the enemy. In theory, Deus would require 10 to 15 years to master a derivative skill. The current First Blade of Calibur and Reinhardt achieved that at 32 years old. I've got history with Reinhardt. In the 3rd major storyline, he's always there as a temporary ally. He started swinging a sword at 5 and became the youngest Sword Saint in history. Even with that insane talent, it took him nearly 20 years. Deus pulled it off in 1. Is he even human? Evan suddenly smirks at this, feeling a twinge of jealousy. Alan subconsciously runs a hand over his chin, feeling the rough stubble. So, the higher they rise, the bigger my rewards. Music. Meanwhile, I notice the letters littering the side table. It's been nearly a year, and only Yudia's name still graces the correspondence list. Am I not even worthy of scraps? Even after entering that holy kingdom, Yudia still sends letters home regularly. What's she going on about in those letters? All the deadly sins she's been drowning in since childhood. Even though their little crew seems bustling, they've never laid eyes on me, they should still at least show gratitude for my gifts. I feel pretty awful right now, but I quickly shake off the thought. I should be thankful they haven't turned into the 5 great sins that would ruin the kingdom. So, as long as they're okay, everything is fine. The scene shifts to Caliburn's central district, where a grand building serves as the training ground for Deus's Knight Order, Eclipse, as well as the home of the Eclipse Knight's commander, the kingdom's youngest sword master ever, Deus Makarin. Deus lets out a soft sigh, his eyes carelessly scanning the intricately carved curtains facing the manor. Brother, a bell-like call rings from the courtyard, and a girl in a puffy dress stands on tiptoes, waving at him. Sunlight sparkles in her hair, and Deus can't help but smile. A whole year has gone by, but the memory still makes him feel a bit bashful. Years back, Deus lost everything to the Black Goat, including Ciri. After that, he was left with nothing but blind rage and hatred. Although Blue Moon rescued him, that didn't really compel him to pledge loyalty to Blue Moon. Blue Moon promised him a shot at revenge. So, he obeyed Blue Moon's commands, joined in training, and undertook risky missions. These missions became his backbone for battling dark forces, music until a special mission came up a year ago. He hadn't given much attention to the gift detailed in the letter back then, but he went to investigate anyway. Yet, upon arriving at the place given in the letter, he was utterly stunned because Ciri, who should have perished at the Black Goat's hands, was now cheerfully bustling around the inn without a scratch. Just remembering how he lost it when he first saw her, pulling her into a tight embrace, and crying still makes his ears feel hot. After Deus arrived at the place, Alan wrote, he music spotted Ciri here, who should have been dead at the Black Goat's hands. He was bewildered by what had transpired during this time. As this emotional storm quieted, he was baffled by the events that unfolded in his absence. When this surge of feelings finally calmed down, Deus finally got the scoop from Ciri about her wild times. After being snatched by the Black Goat, she was trapped in a pitch-black cage for ages. But just when she was being hauled off to the execution ground, a ray of light abruptly shattered the gloom. She seized music that fleeting chance to break free, but life outside was far from a fairy tale. Just when traffickers had her in their grip, ready to sell her off as a slave, a mercenary named Evan swooped in like a hero and rescued her. From that moment on, she gained support from that lord. The letter Ciri showed was penned in his own handwriting. I'm deeply thankful for everything he did for me. If not for him, I would surely be dead. After absorbing Ciri's tale, Deus found himself questioning, how could the mighty Blue Moon foresee all of this? After all, music, He never mentioned anything about family after joining Blue Moon. While Yudia pieced together the Black Goat's crimes from leftover clues, she was clueless about the full story. How does he know it all? But soon, he pushed this question aside. Instead, Yudia's voice echoed in his mind. That Lord knows everything. One day, you'll grasp why I follow him. Deus chews on words he once shrugged off, but now finally comprehends. All the questions fit together seamlessly like pieces of a puzzle. Previously, he couldn't understand why Yudia was so worried, but now it seems the dimwit was actually him. That Lord had figured everything out ages ago. Looking back, what he said back then revealed he already had the full picture and had been sending hints to that child who would survive on her own. Noticing her anxious brother, Siri speaks up, dragging him back from his vengeful thoughts against the Black Goat. Music. That Lord must have known all along. His sword acted on its own with purpose, yet he chose to be generous. For this man, consumed by fury, Siri's survival and that Lord's secret protection over her was a blessing beyond all riches. In this moment, Deus finally realizes that Yudia's words weren't just the ravings of a fanatical devotee. No matter what unfolds, Deus silently vows to repay this music debt. From now on, he will heed the moon's call, become a knight in Caliburn, reach the peak of Caliburn, and reign as the king of knights. Now he's set to take the first step in his grand plan. No matter the trials he faces, he yearns for the day when he can express his gratitude and offer a memorable return, proving his worth under the moon's glow. After whispering the Eclipse Knight's battle cry, he sets forth on the quest to conquer the barbarians. Music. To forge a legendary knight order fit for the incredible Blue Moon. The scene shifts to another place. Ever since returning from last year's ball, I've become obsessed with deciphering magical incantations. Through countless experiments, these incantations truly can reshape the essence of magic. Take the 4 incantation sets I utilized during my ruin explorations. Refraction boosts the flaws in completed magic, doubling music, the spread area. Deflection obliterates the magical form, making projectiles warp through space. Azure Light descends like thunder, supercharging parallel magic with critical hits. And finally, the diffraction pattern allows magic to penetrate through barriers. Plus, I've unraveled several core rules of incantations. Never repeat the same incantation. No casting spells that defy magic, music, and the maximum count of spells can't go beyond 5. Breaking any of these 3 strict rules will cause magic to crash or lose its potency drastically. My magic core is too tiny, so I can only practice once a music day. Given the background of this era, the records of Babylonian gestures and sayings have vanished long ago, leaving no relevant info behind. In the end, I must explore this research solo. Surprisingly, I really enjoy the journey, even though my original goal in learning magic was merely for self-defense. Now, let's music evaluate the results from these past 2 months. As I recite the spells, ineffective magic gains a meaningful grip. The flickering lightning in front of me halts with the spell, holding its explosive shape as if time stood still, compressing with a whisper of the next incantation. The lightning sphere, once as big as a massive ball, suddenly shrinks to the size of a marble, motionless. Music. Upon saying decomposition, the lightning sphere instantly shatters and gradually morphs into a distinct target. Instant bloom. When I release my tense fingers and speak the final incantation, a colossal lightning tree bursts forth from the ground. The dazzling lightning giant tree solidifies into a permanent form, as if someone hit pause on a lightning strike. Witnessing this, I nod with contentment. The order of incantations undeniably impacts the magic's shape, because when I initially used decomposition first, it gave no effect whatsoever. Just then, a gasp of shock breaks my focus. Turning around, I find it's Kalia from the Genonia Count's estate and a middle-aged man. At this moment, her eyes are wide and her jaw drops. Her usual noble demeanor has shattered completely. Is this origin magic? How did she end up here? The middle-aged man's expression mirrors hers, his shock level equal to Kalia's. Employing origin magic indicates his strength has reached the 7th tier mage level. Their discussion stuns me. I'm a 7th tier mage since Kalia saw Alan casting magic. The pair soon appear in Count Faraday's reception room. Kalia has 2 main reasons for visiting the Farradei Count's residence. She clearly possesses trump cards that could seriously damage Genonia, yet stays on the sidelines. Thus, she seeks to uncover Alan's true motives. The second reason is to personally assess the strength of the mysterious organization under Count Farradei that the rumors speak of. To catch a glimpse of that elusive peak, Kalia considered consulting the 5th tier mage, Biankel. He was dismissed from the Magic Tower for conducting excessively cruel magical research. His power is undeniable. A titan capable of annihilating an entire squad single-handedly. Biankel consistently holds arrogance, even toward the Jonia family backing him. But the look on his face right now is unprecedented. Music fear has engulfed his being. Was the magic I displayed earlier truly origin magic? Soon, a voice disrupts Kalia's music thoughts. So what brings Count Genonia here? Alan's gaze is the same as last time. Those frigid, merciless eyes slowly scan over Biankel and Kalia, seemingly disinterested in the whole situation. Kalia quickly responds, "My apologies, Music Count Farradei. I acted inappropriately. I was eager to meet you, and this rudeness took place. After a brief silence, I reply, "No need for harsh judgment, but one thing needs to be clarified. What I had wasn't true origin magic. My magical skills are pretty ordinary, barely scratching the surface of the second tier at best. This mage may have realized that magic doesn't really have any practical use. I describe how it can't defend or attack, yet these words hold a different weight for them. That music, brooding expression seems to warn. What took place today must remain a secret, just like seeing basic second-tier magic. Bianca shudders and speaks first. My apologies, my lord. I misread the situation. Kalia's pupils tighten just a bit. This marks the first time she's heard Bianca use formal titles. Upon hearing this, I nod in satisfaction. Now that the misunderstanding is cleared, what brings you to visit Farradei? Loria seems taken aback by my direct inquiry and hastily regains her composure. Just a casual drop in. I'm in the area for business and thought I'd stop by. Count. I then inquire if there's something specific in mind, and Kalia quickly shakes her head. I examine Kalia for a moment before regretfully stating I have pressing official matters. I'm afraid I can't spare much time to chat with either of you. So Kalia stands up promptly. That's perfectly fine. I was merely passing through anyway. Appreciate your valuable time. I'll take my leave now. As she turns to go, I call out to her. If you find yourself needing someone to talk to, you could pay a visit to Duke Aldia. In my view, your personalities would mesh well, so I bet you'd hit it off. Kalia faces that cool smile, though her lips and tongue feel parched. If you suggest it, I shall visit the Duke. The carriage takes Lady Genonia further away. Evan's confused voice travels on the breeze. That infamous family from the West. Why did she seek us out? How would I know? I can't begin to guess Kalia's motives. I regret showing off magic, causing unnecessary trouble. I just hope rumors of misusing origin magic don't spread. This cursed realm is a twisted fantasy world teeming with crazies. People who go mad with envy at the sight of the strong are everywhere. Still, she must have understood what I meant earlier, right? Even though I brought up Duke Galdia, these two families are fierce rivals. Lady Genonia should go visit her and leave me out of it. At this moment, the carriage rolls forward slowly. Kalia speaks again. Was Count Faraday's magic truly origin magic? Oddly enough, Bianca doesn't respond right away. It's not origin magic. Kalia looks puzzled. So your reaction just now was to Kalia's bewildered question. He takes a deep breath to steady himself. Origin is the ultimate domain for all mages, like an open canvas for unbounded creation. Only mages who attain 7th tier or beyond can sketch their unique laws on that absolute canvas. But Count Faraday's magic occupies a different plane. To be precise, his magic is ripping the entire canvas to shreds. In simpler terms, he's distorting the rules that should remain unchangeable forever. Yonkel suddenly whispers. He fixed erratic thunder in midair, then shattered the magic formation he crafted himself. Yet those array patterns bizarrely continued to function afterward. When that man demonstrated magic rooted in common sense, the patterns visible in his crimson pupils were unmistakably those of some ancient great deity. Realizing this, Bianca abruptly surged his magical power to snap off his thoughts. It feels like his head's about to burst. He's dug deep into the magic of the Forgotten Age and fully grasped the peril of chasing the truth within. His sole piece of wisdom is to never cross Count Farradei, and especially to never challenge him. In this moment, Kalia can't help but wear a bitter smile. The way Alan looked at her, that expressionless demeanor, his eyes music like tranquil, dark waters. She can't read a single intention from him. Suddenly, she remembers his parting music words. She's already come to understand she's merely a pawn in the game. The scene transitions to 5 months later. It's the 2nd anniversary since the kids left the orphanage. Right now, I can adeptly manage the Count's affairs. While handling official matters, I ask Evan, got any updates on the kids? Evan hesitates. No word from Yudia, but there's something brewing in Genonia. I caught wind that the Genonia Count's household has formed a pact with the Aldia Duke's house. Upon hearing this, I'm taken aback. 2 major dark forces actually joining forces. Evan assures me it's a secret agreement forged in the shadows, making it impossible for outsiders to catch wind of it. The alliance is definite, yet panic sweeps over me. I diverted those sins to another route, but now I'm faced with a coalition of 2 dark powers. Is the kingdom of Astria on the brink of collapse? In this moment, I recall what I told Kalia months ago. Did my words lead to this alliance? But I quickly dismissed the idea. Kalia is proud and frigid. Music, while Loria embodies Duke Algia's nature. The two could never collaborate. This alliance will undoubtedly crumble before long. Still, I think about penning a letter to Kalia if I came off too harsh and cold earlier. I sincerely apologize. The truth is, expressing myself isn't my forte. Music, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm making excuses. After writing, I have Evan deliver it to her. I then gaze at the note on my desk, where even the names faded. Music, I long to know how Radan and Snowwolf are faring. Since Yudia mentioned in her letter that they've reached their destinations, I haven't heard anything since. They didn't perish in the wild, did they? If she found the gift I wrote about, she should stand out among all warriors. Music, it should make her the very essence of the golden clan of the Babaya family. In the game, it grants a 20% critical hit bonus. If the Sin of Pride got her hands on it, not only would she steer clear of villainy, but she could also become an incredible asset to the Wolf clan. That's how that equipment was described. I revealed to her the locations of those hidden treasures, initially hoping to use them as emergency funds, wishing she could thrive on her own abilities. So she must be alright, right? Even in a gladiator nation, with the gauntlet's strength, she should reign supreme there. The scene shifts to the southern edge of the desert colony. At the deep mouth of a desert cave, shuffling footsteps emerge, and a girl stumbles out of the shadows. Her once short hair now cascades down to her waist. Though weary, her trial has finally reached its end. This golden claw gauntlet is precisely the gift the great blue moon granted her. She once thought the myth of the essence of the golden clan was mere nonsense, but now she knows it's not just a fable. Back in her childhood, her mother told her their tribe descended from the mightiest king of all beasts, the Golden Music clan, heirs of the rulers of every beast race. The heart of the Golden Mane tribe holds a legendary artifact, a treasure kept for centuries, bestowing them with unparalleled power and dominance. Now, Snow Wolf has uncovered its essence and conquered every trial in her mind. She fully realizes she didn't achieve this alone. It all comes down to the mighty Blue Moon. Blue Moon is not only the savior who rescued her from lethal experiments, but also the one who empowered her to take revenge against the Black Dragon. That music snuffed out her parents' lives. This debt will be settled. She reflects on Blue Moon's parting words. Even if she's not the brightest, she knows the Lord expects much more than just a gladiator. As her thoughts flow, Snow Wolf's gaze instinctively lands on the gauntlet. That all-powerful gauntlet capable of granting the Golden Clan's strength. The moment her eyes lock onto the gauntlet, Snow Wolf finally grasps Blue Moon's true aim, to become a renowned gladiator, to unite the scattered Golden Clans, restore their former glory, and then vanquish that Black Dragon. The moment Snow Wolf steps out of the cave, a brilliant moon hangs high in the sky. A cascade of blue moonlight washes over the entire desert in a brilliant azure hue. Everything exists to honor that lord. She declares this oath, which has now become her guiding principle.